afternoon.
Hello ma'am, good afternoon.
Can you please tell me your full name?
My name is Ranjita Chetri, but you can simply call me Ranjita.
Where is your hometown, ma'am?
My hometown is located in western part of Nepal called Baglung, which is very beautiful.
And where do you live now?
Recently I am staying in the capital city of Nepal called Kathmandu for my further studies.
Okay, let's talk about friends in your part 1 of the speaking test.
Okay, ma'am.
Do you prefer to have one particular friend or a group of friends?
Talking about my personal preference, I could be in a group rather than a single friend.
Yes.
Even though a single friend will be there in your most time, but being in a group will be a memorable event and there will be lots of gossip and that will be a memorable time.
What do you like doing most with your friends?
Mostly I could prefer going to new places,
Mhm.
exploring new things, gossiping and tasting new fruits and vegetables could be my preference.
Do you think it's important to keep in contact with friends you knew as a child?
Yes, I will take that as compulsory.
Yes.
As communication is the key to be more in touch with that people. Either you have met that person yesterday or you have met that person from childhood. Communication is the key, so you should be in contact.
What makes a friend into a good friend?
If the person will be there in your hard times, if he or she is kind,
Yes.
trustable, if he or she matches our vibe, that will be a good person.
Let's talk about traffic now. How do most people travel to work where you live?
Talking about the place where I live, most of the people travel by public vehicles.
Yes.
And some of the people who have their own personal car and four-wheeler, two-wheeler bicycle, they will travel by that.
What traffic problems are there in your area?
There are not much traffic problems as in Ring Road, but due to some bad condition of road, some of the people face traffic problems.
And how do you how can you solve traffic problems of your area?
If I got the chance, I could give priority to the more public vehicles. So
Yes.
that person, the particular person will be transferred by public vehicles, and there will not be much private vehicles and more vehicles to there will be jam.
And have you faced traffic problems till now?
Yes, I have faced it during my class, during my high school. Even now I am facing it.
Yes.
Sometimes I get late for my class, and sometimes I get late for my friends' gathering. So that is problem I face.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Now let's move on to part 2 of the speaking test. You will have to describe a game or sport you enjoy playing. You will be getting a cue card and also 1 minute to make some plan. Please start making the notes. So now you can stop and start talking for 2 minutes. Are you ready to talk for 2 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Please start speaking.
A game or sport that I enjoy playing is swimming.
Yes.
Even though swimming is not a cup of tea for me, at the beginning of my childhood, I was not fond of swimming. I was afraid of water. But when I came here in city, my friends were fond of swimming, and there was a swimming pool in our school. So they encouraged me and take me to the swimming pool. They encouraged me that swimming is a lot of fun to do. So due to my friends, for the first time in my 2th grade, I stepped into a swimming pool. That moment was so peaceful. I forget all my fears of water. Now I feel so refreshing. But talking about that, I mostly swim with my friends. And as there are busy schedule, the pressure of studies, for my refreshment, I used to gather with my friends and go for swimming. It makes me so refreshing when diving into the cold water. That is so refreshing feeling. I wonder sometimes that I was so afraid of water, but now I'm fond of swimming. It makes me so happy. swimming is also a part of swimming also helps an individual, like in other games like basketball. It helps in physical activities. So despite of this, I also like some indoor games and mobile games like Candy Crush, which helps to make my time spend a lot, which helps in time spending. Whether when I'm bored by reading, I play some mobile games like Candy Crush also.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you,
Since
ma'am.
you talked about swimming being your favorite sport,
Yes, ma'am.
how often do you swim?
As I mentioned,
Yes.
swimming has been a part of me.
Yeah.
It makes me so refreshing. Whenever I feel bored and tortured from others, I go for swimming and just dive in a cold water, which makes me refresh.
Okay. How have games changed from the time when you were a child?
When we're talking about games, it has changed in a drastic way. We used to, as we were child, we used to play with our friends in village. Thus, there was not any physical games like basketball. There was only in city areas. Then talking about other games of mobile phone, there were not any mobile phone games. But nowadays, children are more included in mobile games and something like that, PUBG, Candy Crush and all.
Do you think this has been a positive change?
Talking about my own preferences, I think they both have positive and negative aspect. Talking about positive aspect, if they are being more included in mobile games, they will be more into the technological field as this is modern era.
Yes.
And talking about the negative aspect, they are being introvert, they are being rude to their parents, they are only being concerned in mobile and they are not being focused on studies or purpose.
Why do you think children like playing games?
Children like playing games because it is a way of refreshing.
Yes.
Childhood is a golden period of time.
Yes.
So playing games make a memory. It helps in including more friends. It helps in creating memories. As you grow older, there won't be time for playing games.
Yes.
We need to focus on studies. So playing games would be preferred for children.
Do you think competitive games are good or bad for children?
It also have both positive and negative aspect. As this is modern and competitive era,
Yes.
children, if talking about positive aspect, if there is competitive games,
Yes.
children would be more passionate about the games, and there would be the nice path for their admission to game.
Why is competition often seen as important in today's society?
Competition should be there in this modern society to be more passionate and ambitionful. It helps the people to be more ambitionful.
Yes.
And if there is not any competition and no any passion about the life, there won't be any progress in our life. Everyone like to be in top, so competition should be there in this modern era.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That's it. So, regarding the feedback of your speaking test, ma'am, moving on to part 2, I found part 2 was decent, but there were some tenses errors. Work on your tenses. Use the accurate tense according to the question. Part 2 is an area where you have to do a lot of work, ma'am. Part 2 is all about forming a story. In your case, it was not a story. You were basically talking out of points only. Please focus on connecting your story and forming an excellent story. A story should always be having background information, main ideas, and then the conclusion. Don't get nervous. Give a very interesting story in your part 2. Now talking about part 3, ma'am. In case of part 3, I found you overusing one of the devices or overusing one of the phrase often in your speaking test. That is talking about. For most of the question, your way to answer the question was repeating the same phrase, talking about this, talking about this. Use different kind of other phrases by replacing it. In part 3, try to give global answers, ma'am. I saw lots of hesitation and fluency errors in your part 3. Please be natural and give a little bit more developed and global answers. If you could work on your fluency, hesitation, and forming a little bit extended answers, you could do well in your speaking test. Thank you for having me.